Okay, so still Interzonal 1979, now against Ljubojević.
Ljubojević, yeah.
Ljubojević.
Well, it was one of our favorite partners, with top super grandmaster, Ljubojević, probably the best Yugoslav player ever, together with Gligoric, And as usual, we have a very complicated game in our encounter, and you'll see the result later on, We have an English position at the first three moves, and now after f5, he chooses already a very complicated variation instead of knight f6. Knight f6 is more or less normal, After knight f6, the game is more quiet, let's say, But after f5, white has to do something very quickly because otherwise black sees the initiative, He wants to have a mixture from King's Indian and Dutch defense by playing f5 very quickly, with a strong initiative in center and the king side, But you have to counter this and try to do something yourself with white,
So,
the first moves.
And how do you counter? Like playing also something unusual?
You play also very actively with white here, starting with the first move already. So now d4, of course. After d4, if black takes in d4 is clearly better for white, because f5 is already a small
target.
Well, a small target, let's say, But of course, he plays e4, e4. And after knight e4, knight g5, we have this position which is very well known. Again, here black plays usually bishop e7 or knight f6. Queen f6 is more or less something new. And it's very provocative as a move. Well, from Ljubojević, we can expect something like this because he played always a very complicated position, and our game here is no exception. So Queen f6 is already very interesting, Starting from this moment, the game will be very complicated. So white accepts the challenge and plays immediately knight d5. And after knight d5, you have to play like in our game bishop b4 check, because otherwise black has already big problems. If you have to go back in d8, you lost 2 tempos, and it's not good, of course. So after bishop b4 check, the best move is bishop d2, and now the surprise. This was the continuation he wanted, to take in g5. Now you can't take in g5 because you are pinned, of course. Now you have to take in b4
to win the rook
knight.
Here.
Yes, knight takes.
To take there. Okay,
yes,
okay.
Of course, yes. And now after.
Sorry, but it wasn't better to take here to?
Well, that is very unclear, because somehow you can lose finally the knight from a8. And if you lose the knight from a8, you have 2 pieces against rook, and it's better for black, already. So now knight takes b4, and now f4, very, very interesting move. So after f4, everything again is forced. I took in c6, he took with d pawn, and e3. E3 is good, very good move, because black was already threatening to play himself e3, and then it's better for black again, So e3, now he takes in e3, I take in e3, and queen g6. And we have a very unusual position from the opening, it's not clear at all what happens. Black wants to have the initiative already. The position is completely open, as you can see, the f file is open, and white has 2 bishops. Usually with 2 bishops, white must be better, but it's not clear. You have to play very actively the next moves, you see. So, of course, queen b3 prepares the castle, on the queen side, knight f6. Now h3 is a good move. White doesn't allow the normal move, knight g4. If he has time to play knight g4, black has no problem at all. He wants to take the bishop from e3. So h3 doesn't give you this possibility, and now castle. Now, of course, white castle long side, and we have this kind of position where everything is very unclear. White has the king on the queen side, black has the king on the king side. And now everybody wants to attack, the king's position. White tries something with g4. Black wants to try something with b5. You see.
So who is faster right now?
Who is faster? It will be like a small race between white and black. No? So king h8 is okay. And now g4, of course, and b6. Well, normal. b6, king b1. White is waiting a little bit to see what is the plan of his opponent. If he wanted to play very quickly, g5 is not so good because he has the possibility to block the position, the initiative, with knight h5. And after knight h5, again, is not very clear. For instance, bishop e2, knight f4, and black is not so bad. The position is okay for black. So king b1 is right. And now his idea is to play on the white squares, you see. Bishop e6, queen f7 later on, and b5. This is the black's idea, It's very clear. Well, bishop e6. Okay, now queen goes back because he was threatening already b5. If the queen stays in b3 and he has time to play immediately b5, black is all right, So queen c2, queen f7, and now, again, this is provocative. King a1 goes away. After b5, you don't have the possibility to take immediately with check in a2. This was the thing. And in any kind of position, when you play b5, we have also the possibility to play d5, and the position is always a little bit better for white, But here, after king a1...
But why is it a little bit better for white?
Because you open the position, you don't have attack on the other side, and you have the square d4 for your bishop, This is the idea in principle.
To put the
in
bishop
some
here.
positions, you just give the pawn in c4 to have the initiative on the other side, you see, like in our game, later on. So he played b5, okay. And after b5, we played g5, knight e8, and now g6. And of course, we have a very strange position. Now, if you take with the queen in g6, after d5, white is clearly better. Because later on, you have the square, as I told you, in d4 for the bishop. And it's enough if you come with the rook in g1, you have very strong attacking chances against the king. The diagonal is very, very strong. D4, g7, very strong initiative, you see. So he took with the pawn. And now, queen takes c4. And we give, for the moment, the pawn in c4. And now we play rook g1. And exactly here in this position, he reacted very well until now. Ljubojević played very well until this moment. And now after rook g1, in my opinion, if he played here, what did he play? Bishop f5 or bishop d5? Bishop f5. It was much better to play bishop d5. If he played bishop d5, the position was probably more or less even. Because if you take in g6, after trading the queens, black can resist. He doesn't lose this position, But after bishop f5, the position is again very unclear, and white is clearly better, after bishop f5. So I think he underestimated a little bit the attacking chances for white. Probably he thought that white's king is more exposed than the black's king, and has a good chance with the b file open for him, And therefore he wanted to complicate the position even more, and he played bishop f5, because I don't think he didn't see what can happen after bishop f5. But he didn't realize. He underestimated a little bit, So now we will see in the next moves, white demonstrates that he's clearly better, just a few moves, you see. Everything is very logical. Queen takes c6, knight d6, of course, d5. This is very strong move, because now you preparing in every position, if you have time to come with the bishop in d4, the attacking chances for white are very good, White is clearly better here already, So a5, he continues the plan. He wants to come, you see.
Yeah, even so, here are double pawns and
Yeah,
also
you'll
the
see
bishop.
we can open later on the position, you know. This is, I mean, now the idea is very clear. You take back the pawn and we accept the fact that we play with different color bishops. But as usual, the attacking chance for white is better because he'll have the initiative in the next moves, you see. And as usual, the attacking chances are even better with different color bishops. You'll see a very good example later on, what can happen in just a few moves. You see. So bishop takes c4, a4, a3, very calmly, white, you know, blocks the position on the queen side, and he continues the initiative on the other side. You know. Knight takes, queen takes, and he continues to play actively, I mean, just to see what happens. So bishop d4. Now it's already clear that white has a better game. Nothing happens here on the queen side. And we have very strong initiative against the black king. We have only to open. If we can open the position with h4, h5, it's enough, you know. So already we are a little bit in time trouble, and he realized that the position can be dangerous, and comes back on the central squares. You know, he threatens rook e4, but it's not enough. Rook e4 doesn't help too much. You know,
Wasn't better here to play maybe c6?
c6. White takes with the queen in c6.
Oh, true. Yes.
Takes with the queen, and with pawn up, very good chances to win. You see. Yeah. And now after rook e8, h4. Now already the position is very, very dangerous for black. And in time trouble is almost decisive, you know. Now the threat is very clear. h5. After h5, black is already lost, you know, because it's no defense. And he played rook e4, again, very active, but wrong, you see, because now that gives white a tempo, decisive tempo in attack, see, after rook e4. f3, and now you don't have any place to go with the rook. If you go to f4, you lose the exchange with check. Bishop takes g7 with check, and you lose the rook. So you have to go back with the rook. That means rook e4 was not good. Yeah. And now, again, h5, and it's enough to win. You know, very strong initiative, I mean, decisive attack, you know. So now you have to play king h7. You can't take in h5, it's clear. No, rook takes g7, wins immediately, you know. So takes with check, bishop takes, and now queen c6, and black resigned. Because everything now is clear. He has to go somewhere with the rook, for instance, rook e8, no? And after rook takes g6, queen takes g6, rook h1 check, everything is clear, you know. So very, very nice game. Very interesting also theoretically because of the opening. The opening was very unusual, you see.
Yes.
And afterwards it was a clash between two attacking players, you know. Everybody wants to win, you know. Yeah. And he overstepped a little bit to the limit, as I told you. If he played bishop d5, probably the game was more or less not drawish, but even, you know. But like this, white was clearly better, and white could demonstrate that his chances are very strong. You know?
He let you open the position?
He let me open a little bit too much, you know. Yeah. That was enough. You see. In this kind of position, is always like this.
But the bishop from d4?
The bishop from d4 was much better than his colleague from g6. Yeah.
From g6, yes.
The black bishop was decisive later on, you see. The position was so strong that, you know, the bishop does everything from d4. You know.
Decisive.
A very, very nice example. What can happen in such a position, this kind of position. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And as usual in our games, you know, the game was very tactical, as usual. Most of the games were always decided like this. When he won against me, was this manner also, you know, very tactical. When I won against him, the same, you see. Every time we met, it was, you know, some
tactical
encounter, very tactical, yes. Yeah. And this one was no exception, of course.
Nice.
It was one of my best games in this Interzonal from Riga 79. Yeah. This one, of course, very spectacular like this. Yeah.